Welcome back to the show. I'm Dennis Mike. You know what? I don't even know my own name. You know why I'm confused? Because somehow they pinned me with two liberals in one segment. Welcome back to the show. I'm filling in for Steve Malzberg today. I am joined by Michael Meyers. He's the president of the New York Civil Rights Coalition, and Rick Flaming Liberal Ungar, co-host of the Daily Wrap here on Newsmax TV. So let's start with something intelligent. We'll talk about a conservative. What's your feeling about Governor Walker dropping out of the race, Rick?
It was inevitable. I've really been calling this from the start. There are many qualified candidates who want to become the Republican nominee. Governor Walker really wasn't one of them. I always thought it was an enormous amount of hubris that led him to believe that he had what it took. He can make the excuses he wants about Donald Trump knocking him out. Only you can knock yourself out of the presidential race, and that's what he did. Mr.
Myers?
I just think that the way he went out was not right. If he wanted to leave at the time, he was at the head of the group, in a sense, first place, second place, and he wanted to make room for the other candidates. That was the time to go. You don't walk out with that kind of speech when you're an asterisk. So I didn't like what he did.
He had no money.
But if he wanted to walk out, walk. I just trying to find out who was the person who applauded when he said he was walking. Who was that person?
You know, I was in Iowa when they kicked off the Iowa Freedom Summit, and he was the rock star of the day. I mean, they loved him. But in that speech, he never, ever covered immigration, ever. And so from there, I felt as if he just went off the cliff, because one day he was for amnesty, the next day he wasn't for amnesty, he was going back and forth. I think people lost confidence in him.
That's right.
And I think that's also why you saw, obviously Trump is rising to the occasion, because he realizes the fact that we have to deport all the illegal aliens in this country, and I'm sure you two agree with me on that one.
You think so? No, I don't think we have to deport all the illegal aliens in the country. I do think we have to deal with it. And like you, I'm tired of talking about dealing with it and then doing nothing about it. We have to face up to it. We have to come up with a resolution. To suspect that we're going to round up, people estimate, I know, as much as 30 million people, and throw them out one day, nah, I don't think that's going to happen.
To deport illegal aliens is not to round them up. You can deport people who are not here lawfully in different ways. Number one, you start the journey of 1,000 miles, the first step. You start knocking on doors, and people get the message. You start eliminating sanctuary cities and enforcing the law. People get the message.
The best way to do it, because I happen to be somewhat versed in this topic, is you cut off the jobs. When you cut off the job magnet, people will go home.
That's a great point. And so I have to ask this question. We already have laws that require employers to check the status of the people they hire. And that should have been the end of this problem back when. Why hasn't it been? Because employers don't do it. And what party tends to support the employers in this and lets them get away with it? I think we know the answer to that.
You know what? The last time I checked, both Republicans and Democrats own businesses, okay?
Well, that's not just an employment situation, because believe it or not, there are people who are receiving welfare benefits who are illegal. And there are people taking jobs from Americans who are not illegal. So I think you have got to, yes, punish employers, but it's not just a question of coming and seeking employment. It's a question of coming across that border, having babies, becoming American citizens, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You either have law and order, and you have law enforcement, or you don't. And right now, we don't.
Well, let's talk about Carly Fiorina, because Carly Fiorina is surging based on the last debate, and she is catching up to Donald Trump, it seems like, every single day. Now, are the two of you, as being liberal voters, are you concerned about Fiorina, especially if Hillary gets the nomination on your side?
Well, I'm concerned about a number of Republicans I think are very qualified and could run a good race against Hillary or whoever else might happen to get the Democratic nomination. I think Carly Fiorina is very much qualified. I think she's about to enter into the tougher part of what she's doing, because now the things that she says are going to be fact-checked, etc. And there have been some issues with that. That said, you make a mistake if you don't take her seriously. She's a very bright woman.
Everybody gets fact-checked. And in a debate, and that wasn't a debate, by the way, that was a performance. Everybody came in rehearsed. And yes, Carly came in rehearsed. She knew she had to shine, and she did. But I can tell you one thing, there are a lot of people on that stage who shouldn't be there, including the other person that the mass media is claiming was so good. Chris Christie should be off the stage. Go back to New Jersey.
I think a lot of conservatives will probably agree with you on that one for sure. And I also think a
lot of liberals too.
I tell you what, in terms of Carly Fiorina, I mean, she's surging, but she's going to have a lot to answer for in some of the stuff with business. All right, well, I'm going to have these two liberals back with me in the next segment. But before that, Carly Fiorina is surging in the polls. But does she have what it takes to be America's next commander-in-chief? Newsmax answers with a special free offer. Carly Fiorina's book, Rising to the Challenge. This is a must-read for all conservatives, especially if you like her, and it's free as a part of this special. Just go to newsmax.com/Carly and get your free book. Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm Dennis Michael Lynch, and I'm rejoined here with Michael Meyers and Rick Ungar. I'm going to talk about a topic that get you guys all goosebumpy, and that's Hillary Clinton and socialist Mr. Sanders. So, of the two, who do you like better, Rick?
Well, you know, I'll start off by saying that I really prefer Joe Biden as opposed to both of them. That said, I like Bernie Sanders. I don't believe for a moment he can ever become president. This country is not going to elect a socialist president. So you're left with Hillary. And let's be honest, none of us really know if we are left with Hillary. We don't know if Hillary can survive the problems that she brought upon herself and that we're currently going through. We'll see. It's a question you have to ask in 6 months. If Hillary's still in the ball game, then it's probably going to be Hillary.
Michael, why do you think?
My position is none of the above. You said president and commander-in-chief. I don't see any of them as commander-in-chief. We haven't had a real commander-in-chief since the days of George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, FDR, and Harry Truman. Hillary Clinton, Benghazi, commander-in-chief? No way.
Not even
Bernie Sanders, the socialist, anti-war person? No way. Joe Biden, the phony liberal, the guy who got to Congress riding the anti-busing campaign? No way!
Wait a second. I feel like somebody just hit me with the Newsmax logo across the head. I thought you were a liberal.
I am a liberal.
Is this like a joke? You guys do this to guest hosts all the time? Wait a second. What are you going to tell me next? You're going to vote for Donald Trump? We're rational people. Are you voting for Donald Trump, Michael?
Joe Biden is a phony liberal. Hillary Clinton is a lying liberal.
Michael, this is the smartest thing you've said all day.
And Bernie Sanders is really left-wing.
So who is it? Who is it on your side?
None of the above.
What do you mean?
Still time for somebody.
What are you going to write in yourself?
Somebody sane to come into this presidential race.
So you don't think we've met the president yet?
Not yet.
Really?
That's right.
Are you thinking about running yourself?
Oh no.
You know?
I don't do electoral politics.
All right. I want to go into something which I think is very important, and let's shift gears here, get serious for a second, because I think it's a plague right now, and I don't mean that in any lack of respect way, but Black Lives Matter. I mean, first of all, I want to say out there, I believe that all lives matter. But I'm going to stick with you here, Michael. What the hell is going on? Is this a lack? Is this because what is happening?
I've nicknamed this Black Lives Matter movement the Black Hands Matter movement, which means it's a lie. They got created over the lie of Michael Brown. Hands up, don't shoot. Well, guess what? His hands weren't up.
I know, but look, what is driving it? Is it that there's no, Rick, is it that there's no leadership? Is it that, the black community is suffering from terrible unemployment? Is it the fact that, there's unwedded births? What is it? Because I want this fixed.
It's probably all of the above. I mean, the points you just made are probably at the root of what the concern is. Look, I have to tell you, when this whole thing began, I was kind of in your camp. I was like, well, all people matter. Why are we carving people out? Black people certainly matter. So do white people. So do orange. Everybody matters. Right. And then somebody explained something to me that I thought was an interesting way of putting it. They said, it's like going to a cancer convention where everybody's concerned about that one illness and standing up and complaining about having a different kind of an illness. People there are focused on cancer. I kind of got that. So if you're going to somewhere and it's a collection of black people trying to assert rights, trying to cure wrongs, I get it. I do.
You get it. But you get it when somebody comes to a Bernie Sanders rally and they want to impose their agenda on the Bernie Sanders rally, and they go to a microphone and bogart it.
Well,
oh no.
Well, okay, let me finish what I was going to say. I
Yeah,
don't
I
like
think
when
you were finished.
they interrupt those rallies. More importantly, I don't like when they march. Anybody marches and starts about frying bacon. There's no need to be disrespectful to anybody to make your
Well,
point.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to say this: if you know what, there's a lack of leadership. We need some of the people. We need people to stand up. We need people in the black community to stand up and show some leadership. I want to thank both of you guys being with me here today. I want to thank you for welcoming me on here at Newsmax. Thank you, Steve. Steve will be back on Thursday. I want to thank everybody here at Newsmax. I will be back tomorrow, and I hope that they put me with at least one conservative, if not two conservatives. I mean, I'll even pull people off the street.
You got
if
a
we
problem
have
with
to.
bookings here? Huh?
Have a good night.